kembali melangkah maju. Meski banyak mimpi yang tertahan, menyerah bukan pilihan. Kini saatnya melangkah bersama. Dengan keyakinan dan semangat, membuka lembaran baru. Kini saatnya menggapai semua tujuan. Merancang masa depan, mewujudkan cita-cita kemakmuran. Kini, saatnya kata-kata menjadi perbuatan nyata untuk kita semua. HSBC, kini saatnya melesat.
Kenapa kita harus berubah?
Indonesia terus bergerak cepat bersama roda ekonomi dunia. Sekarang saatnya beradaptasi, eranya bertransformasi. Tapi, kenapa masih ada yang ragu?
Digital, bukannya ribet ya?
Emang usaha saya bisa diapain lagi pakai digital?
Sinkronisasi data pakai digital, aman kah?
Untuk terus melesat, jadilah bagian dari perubahan sekarang juga. Saatnya bisnis Anda melesat bersama Telkomsel My Business. Partner terpercaya dengan rangkaian solusi digital. Untuk menunjang segala kebutuhan bisnis Anda menuju pencapaian yang lebih baik. Karena sekarang saatnya melesat.
Jadi gimana cuannya, Pak?
Kalau saya sih baru aja beli emas. Nih, lumayan kan? Siapa tahu naik lagi, ya nggak?
Kalau saya sih nggak main emas, Pak. Saya mendingan main ini aja. Nggak nyangka, beli setahun yang lalu, malah jadi untung.
Kalau saya, invest di tanaman hias aja. Bisa beli berlipat cuannya.
Mah, pada tinggi-tinggi ya cuannya. Tapi kalau cuan aja nggak fleksibel, repot juga ya. Kalau aku sih cari cuannya di sini aja. Bunganya lebih tinggi dari tabungan biasa loh.
Tapi jangan lupa, harus fleksibel diambilnya. Harus longgar.
Dan semudah mindahin dari rekening kamu ke aku.
Wah, mantul!
Cuan lebih tinggi, fleksibilitas tak terbatas.
Negara Indonesia bertekad untuk terus maju, bergerak membangun bangsa, dan berkomitmen untuk senantiasa memberikan yang terbaik bagi pemerintah dan masyarakat Indonesia. BNI ikut serta dalam mewujudkan sebuah konsep kota impian masa depan, kota cerdas yang terintegrasi dengan teknologi, mengelola sumber daya secara efektif melalui digitalisasi transaksi untuk meningkatkan kualitas hidup masyarakatnya. BNI sepenuhnya mendukung arahan pemerintah dalam mendorong penerapan program Smart City pada beberapa pemerintahan daerah di Indonesia. Penerapan Smart City pada sebuah kota atau kabupaten memberikan begitu banyak kemudahan dalam bertransaksi, transparansi pemerintahan daerah, dan meningkatkan kualitas pelayanan publik. Dengan jaringan cabang BNI yang luas, channel transaksi online yang beragam, Smart City telah sukses diaplikasikan di sebagian besar pemerintahan daerah di Indonesia. Dengan ikut berpartisipasi dalam mensukseskan program Smart City, BNI telah turut mewujudkan cashless society dalam meningkatkan pelayanan di daerah seperti digitalisasi dan transparansi proses transaksi keuangan pemerintah daerah, memberikan solusi untuk peningkatan penerimaan pajak asli daerah dengan sistem yang terintegrasi dan real-time online, dan meningkatkan kepercayaan publik terhadap transparansi retribusi, penyaluran anggaran, dan pelayanan pemerintah daerah. BNI menghadirkan solusi terbaik yang efektif dan efisien dalam membantu pengelolaan penyaluran anggaran daerah dengan BNI Direct SP2D Online. BNI juga membantu peningkatan pendapatan pajak asli daerah melalui solusi penerimaan pajak daerah serta solusi transaksi cashless lainnya. BNI terus berinovasi dan menyediakan solusi yang sejalan dengan dimensi-dimensi Smart City. Untuk Indonesia, kami selalu ada. dimanapun, kapanpun. BNI, melayani negeri kebanggaan bangsa.
It's easy to be blinded by the urgent issues facing our planet. But to shut our eyes is not in our DNA. We look at problems not as one big challenge. We break them down into a spectrum of solutions. Leveraging our pioneering and digital technologies to co-create innovative solutions with our partners and customers across the entire value chain. Powering efficiency by creating a smarter, more flexible power grid. Powering resilience and reliability by digitalizing the energy value chain. Powering safety by enabling cyber-secure infrastructure for mission-critical sectors. Powering sustainability by integrating renewables into the power grid. We are two pioneers combining generations of expertise for a stronger, smarter, and greener future. Powering good for sustainable energy. Hitachi ABB Power Grids.
Siap, ya. Ini saya jalan ya.
Pak, tunggu, ini ada yang belum, Pak. Pak, ada tagihan pajak.
Oke.
Pak, gaji karyawan harus diotorisasi.
Beres. Halo Pak, pembayaran supplier harus segera jalan ya Pak. Oke.
Gampang. Lakukan semua transaksi harian perusahaan Anda. Anda dapat dengan mudah mengelola transfer management, billing payment, electricity payment, dan lainnya. Dengan BNI Direct Mobile, Anda dapat mengelola bisnis Anda 24 jam, kapanpun, dimanapun. Semua urusan jadi lebih mudah. Download BNI Direct Mobile.
BNI.
Menjadi pemimpin butuh persiapan. Untuk wujudkan mimpi satu demi satu, harus bekerja sama mempersiapkan masa depan untuk hadapi segala rintangan. Dan gapai kemenangan, raih hasil terbaik untuk perusahaan. Dengan payroll dari BTN Solusi yang sistemnya praktis dan otomatis. Juga benefits langit. Wujudkan impian dengan kredit ringan. Jaringan ATM-nya luas, karyawan juga makin berkembang dengan pelatihan finansial dan wirausaha. Dan pastinya bisa bantu karyawan miliki rumah lebih mudah dengan KPR guys. Karena hidup kita gak cuma tentang hari ini, tapi juga untuk esok nanti. Bersama BTN Solusi, impian jadi terlaksana. Dari Bank BTN.
Sekarang semua serba listrik, masak juga. Karena kita kan pakai kompor induksi, bentuknya keren, modern, terlihat canggih. Ini tidak ada apinya. Anak-anak bisa aman masak pakai kompor ini. Padahal pancinya panas loh.
Hidup sendirian itu butuhlah yang praktis-praktis. Kayak kompor ini, mudah dibersihkan, mudah digunakan. Tinggal pencet, nyaman, bisa dipindah-pindah. Jadi bisa cari posisi enak untuk masak hotpot. Dan video callan deh biar seru.
Kompor induksi itu suhunya dapat diatur sesuai kebutuhan masak dan stabil. Jadi bisa lebih cepat. Pelanggan gak perlu nunggu lama dan kita bisa melayani lebih banyak. Omset pun jadi naik. Yang jelas, kompor induksi itu tidak ada emisi CO2. Berarti ramah lingkungan. Karena dengan listrik, hidup lebih baik.
Kita baru saja menang tender. Siapkan bank garansi untuk jaminan pekerjaannya.
Oke, saatnya ke bank. List segala persyaratan, pastikan semua dokumen lengkap.
Tolong semua dipercepat ya.
Untuk itu, gue diandalkan. Loh, tanda tangannya mana? Aku lupa tanda tangannya ibu. Bu, maaf.
Makanya pakai bank garansi. Langsung buka di gb-online.bni.co.id. Isi application, lanjut approve, release, data submit deh. Semua sudah tahu bank garansi kan?
BNI.
Nggak perlu ribet kalau ada cara mudah untuk punya rumah. BTN Property, pertama di Indonesia. Aplikasi properti milik bank dengan 4D Virtual Survey. Survei lokasinya secara online. Pengajuan KPR-nya juga secara online. So simple. Untuk new experience membeli rumah secara online, cuma di BTN Property. Solusi mudah, miliki rumah. Download aplikasinya sekarang.
Wherever you go, whatever you do, you are never far from ABB Drives and Motors. From cooling to warming a building, we help you hit the right temperature while avoiding high monthly energy bills. We also make sure you can squeeze out every gram of sugar without wasting a drop of energy. And for extracting raw materials, we are breaking new ground in safe, efficient electric mines. We provide the power to bend metal and the precision to craft paper. Our smart motion technology enables oil, gas, and chemicals to flow and brings uninterrupted water and power for millions of people around the world. ABB's traction technologies, from drives and motors to battery storage systems, make rail transport even more sustainable. Wherever you look, ABB Smart Motion keeps your world turning.
Butuh keberanian untuk kembali melangkah maju. Meski banyak mimpi yang tertahan, menyerah bukan pilihan. Kini saatnya melangkah bersama. Dengan keyakinan dan semangat, membuka lembaran baru. Kini saatnya menggapai semua tujuan, merancang masa depan, mewujudkan cita-cita kemakmuran. Kini, saatnya kata-kata menjadi perbuatan nyata untuk kita semua. HSBC, kini saatnya melesat.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Selamat bertemu kembali Bapak Ibu sekalian. Sudah makan siang semua? You have your breakfast today. Kita mau berjalan cukup jauh. Kalau naik pesawat beneran mungkin sekitar 7 sampai 8 jam ke Denmark, ke Copenhagen.
17 jam, Pak.
Oh, sorry, 17 jam. Dikoreksi Pak Jan.
Transitnya 8 jam.
Bedanya sekitar, ya bedanya 8 jam. Ya, saya ngecek aja Bu Feni udah gabung atau belum tadi.
Iya betul, udah segar Pak saya.
Okay.
Sudah segar Bu Feni.
Ya.
Agak dingin ya di sana. Bu Feni udah bawa jaket. Saya nggak usah pakai jaket ya, saya pakai batik aja.
Kebetulan saya kuat dingin Pak.
Feni ada di mana ya?
Saya ada di Jakarta Pak.
Oh, kok dingin katanya.
Kan mau ke Denmark, Pak Jan.
Oh, ke Denmark.
Iya.
Kita udah nyampe, N sudah siap tuh.
Oke.
Halo N.
Hai.
Halo N.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Nice to meet you, Anne.
Good morning to you.
Good morning.
Thank you. How are you doing?
Fine. Yes, we have already visited 4 objects this morning up to the afternoon in Jakarta time, and then we will move to Europe now, and it seems like very well weather in your city now.
We have tropical conditions going to 32 degrees today, so very unusual here.
Okay. Oh, all right.
So maybe we will go for a swim after this. I don't know.
Really? It's extraordinary.
All right. Okay.
Okay. Let's start, Pak Toto.
Yes, Pak Jan. Yes, I think please now it's we have more than 100 now. It's our guest, our visitor is almost 150, and hopefully someone else will join. One more people will join later. And please now your time, Ms. Anne Swedson. Pak John, can you just explain Mr. N?
Yes, Miss. Yeah, okay. Okay, good morning. So we are starting to listen to you and to learn about the net zero building in Denmark as we planned. And we are going to follow the rundown of your agenda, and we appreciate and we thank you for this opportunity of visiting your wonderful project in Copenhagen. There are almost 150, indeed 148, and it's adding up. Okay, so we look forward to listening and looking, watching the project of yours.
So Ms. Anne and Ms. Dieter Likat, right? Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, please. It's the screen and time is for yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Halo dan selamat datang. Hello and welcome everybody.
Terima kasih.
I'm inviting you now to this trip to Denmark. So please fasten your seatbelts. We're going on a trip. It will be a very fast trip. I would, of course, like to welcome you in the real world. But the good thing on that is that you don't have to go on a plane for many, many hours, and you don't have to suffer any jet lag. So let's get on with it. Today we are in Copenhagen, and we are going to look at some of the solutions that we use in the building sector in Denmark. My name is Anne Svendsen. I'm working with the Danish Energy Agency. I'm a technical advisor. I'm also a civil engineer, and I'm previously also a sustainability expert from BREEAM and GGNB.
And I'm here today with Ditte Lysgaard Vind, who is the managing partner in the architect company Lenaer. And we would like to present to you today a building project that has been carried out here in Copenhagen, where we're working on net zero energy buildings. And for the program today, I will be talking with Ditte first, and then we will see a little film from the project. We have with us Henrik somewhere in this call. Henrik, are you there? Maybe you could say hello.
I am indeed, Annie. Hi all.
Great. So first, as I say, welcome, Ditte. Thank you for coming here today and talking to all our friends in Indonesia. Maybe you can introduce yourself also.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. As Anna mentioned, I'm Ditte. I'm from Lenaer Group. We are an architectural studio, a innovation hub turning waste back to resource, and then a producer of upcycled materials for the built environment.
That's very interesting, the upcycle.
And this is what our presentation or our site visit is going to be about today. So it's both about energy, saving energy, and upcycling materials. So I will leave the floor to Ditte to tell a little bit about what you're going to see here in a little while.
Thank you.
So what the tour will be one of our projects. It's the Resource Rows, we call them. It's a commercial development here in Copenhagen, where families are now living, both in a rental and an ownership model. Essentially, what we really wanted, and the reason why it's called the Resource Rows, is that we wanted to make sure that we really did the best possible in terms of turning, of really utilizing all the possible resources, so being both from a environmental perspective and a social perspective. So we started, so of course, as we're also talking about today, energy efficiency in the buildings, but also in terms of the materials we used and making sure that we reutilize materials that had already been used before. And last but not least, from a biodiversity and a community perspective, making sure that we created spaces for people to come together, to be together, and for them to grow and harvest their own produce in terms of vegetables, etc. And it was quite fun. We had really good results in terms of what we were sort of initially looking for in terms of energy savings, in terms of embedded carbon, so the carbon that we wouldn't have to use in production essentially by using the recycled materials. But we also had a lot of extra really nice values in terms of, because when you did it in a new part of Copenhagen, so a completely new area where everything is new, but we took by taking materials, and the bricks that you'll see is coming from among others the old Carlsberg breweries, which is a very sort of, has a lot of cultural heritage. So actually also not just getting environmental benefits, but also getting cultural benefits in terms of taking something from the old part of Denmark and moving it to the new part of Denmark, and thus creating a bigger sense of coherence between the two parts of the city.
And Ditte, you explained to me that it's quite interesting, this thought that you're reusing bricks, but there is a challenge in reusing bricks. Could you please explain about this?
Yeah, so what there is, it's started to be a bit more common to reuse bricks individually, but the problem with that was that since the 1960s, we stopped using lime mortar to essentially, put the bricks together, and instead use now cement mortar, which means essentially the mortar is stronger than the individual brick, so we can no longer take the individual bricks apart. So instead, what we found was a way to, by design, and design being an absolutely key driver in our work and a key solution maker. So by designing these new modules where we were able to have them almost as what we in the built environment calls sandwich element, which is like prefabricated elements, which is something that the industry quite likes because it makes it more simple and quick to put things up on the building site. And so we were inspired by that and essentially found a way to cut out not the individual bricks, but cut out much larger parts with essentially it's called a diamond cutter, not because it cuts diamonds, but because it's so sharp.
By artificial diamonds.
Yeah.
So you're cutting out the elements of 1.1 meters.
Yeah.
And then you transport these elements to the building site and store them, and then they can be used as ordinary building elements.
Yeah. We sort of just make sure that everything is okay, and then we cut them and we actually put them into even larger sandwich elements so that it's even more quick on the building site to put them up. Which is also why it's funny. It's now also the carpenter is essentially part of the design phase because they put them together.
How many percent the material is recycled for that kind of brick?
So essentially, it's not 100%, but it's almost 100% of the bricks that are recycled. Even when we have to, if we had a need to just take a few or like have a few extra bricks, we then use the individual recycled bricks when we needed to fill in more things from another company here in Denmark called Gamle Mursten.
And what about
an interesting part is that some of the old materials were actually, I think, less than 10 kilometers from the building site, so the transportation have been reduced significantly.
Low carbon footprint.
Yes, definitely. So I think the whole project was on reducing the carbon footprint as much as possible. But I will invite you now to see the video. I will let our colleague Henrik present the video and because you have to do something also. So Henrik, please.
Thank you, Anne. Just a sound check. Can you all hear me well?
Yes,
yes.
Yeah, there are some people nodding. That's good.
A little bit louder, please.
Okay. I'm receiving a bit of an unstable internet connection from my end, so apologies if the picture isn't crystal clear, but as Anne said, I'll now invite you on a tour to the resource rows. And before we go on to that, let me just say a few words about State of Green, the organization that I represent. It's not all about State of Green today. We have something far more important coming up, but in 2 sentences, State of Green is a public-private partnership, and what we do is that we bring into play Danish green solutions and competencies in order to tackle and approach these global challenges that we are facing, like the one that we are discussing today. And that was basically what I wanted to say about State of Green. You have my contact information and everything in the end here. Yes, so before moving on here, I will just ask all of you, dear participants, to bring out your smartphone, and please don't be too frightened about this rather ancient technology that you're seeing here. It's fairly safe, and it gives you the opportunity to embark with all of us on this interactive tour that we'll be partaking on now. So if you take out your smartphone and just quickly scan the code that is in front of you, you'll be guided on to YouTube, where you'll be met by the video, and it will start to play automatically. So just pause it for a second before I put it on here. If you don't want to do it this way here, you can also just sit tight and enjoy the show on your screen in a second. And remember to mute either your smartphone or the audio from the video that I'm playing you now. But this gives you the chance to join the tour in a more immersive way than what I imagine you're normally used to. So the resource rows, I'll put it on now. Enjoy the ride.
Welcome to Copenhagen, Denmark. The building in front of you is called the Resource Rows. Here, resources and circular economy have been at the heart of the design and construction. You can now learn more from detailed
Sorry, it doesn't work. I couldn't watch.
The resource made by Linear Group for
see it on the screen.
we have
okay, now, yes.
Now.
Thank you.
made for families in Copenhagen. It's made with upcycled bricks, upcycled wood. The bridge we're standing on right now is actually direct reuse. And then we simply just added new, again, upcycled wood flooring, and we're able to use it directly here. The houses you see over there is reused as well. Both the wood and the windows have been reused again. And we really try in everything we do to reuse as many resources as possibly, quite simply because we see that more and more people are moving towards the cities. We have rapid urbanization. So we say, why not to bring the materials as well so that we can indeed create new housing and cater to that demand, but without compromising on our climate, our resources, and our Mother Earth.
The resource roads are the first residential houses and apartments in Denmark to be constructed using materials directly from other buildings. The project has 5 key efficiency focus areas: materials, energy, water, biodiversity, and quality of life. The focus on energy is especially important as buildings represent approximately 40% of the energy consumed globally. The checkered brick facade was created by cutting 1 meter square blocks from old industrial buildings and reusing them in this new construction. The bricks used here originate, among others, from the historic breweries of Carlsberg in Copenhagen, preserving the history and soul of the old buildings and passing them onto the resource rose facade. Take a look at the floor here on the terrace. The wood has been upcycled and it's part of the 300 tons of scrap wood left over from the construction of the Copenhagen Metro. It is also used on the facades, balcony floors and the terraces. The flooring in the apartments is also made out of scrap wood. It is waste wood taken from a flooring factory. The resource roads are very energy efficient. They are not only built according to our strict Danish building regulations, but they also go beyond these requirements and use 10% less energy than similar new buildings. The annual energy consumption is as low as 27 kilowatt hour per square meter per year.
Wow.
The apartments are supplied with district heating from Copenhagen Heating Utility Company, which is one of the most efficient heating utilities in the world. The terrace houses are individually heated by air-to-water heat pumps located on the roof. There's one for each house. The efficiency of the heat pump is approximately 4.2, meaning that for every single kilowatt hour electricity which is put into the heat pump, approximately 4.2 kilowatt hours comes out in the form of heat for heating and hot water. There's a central ventilation system located on the roof, ensuring fresh air for the apartments. The system is with heat recovery, with an efficiency of more than 85%. This means that 85% of the heat extracted from inside the apartment is used to heat the fresh air taken from outside the apartment. The heat extracted from the apartment is taken from the extractor hood in the kitchen and from the bathroom. You can see the extractor on the ceiling.
Yeah.
So they can give input about
Take a look above the doorway. This is where heated fresh air enters the apartment.
Good.
Another important element in securing energy efficiency is the insulation in the building elements. There's a total of 340 millimeters of rock wool insulation material in the walls, floors, and roofs. The buildings are also very airtight. The airflow rate is below 0.7 litre per second per square meter. After the construction, this was tested using a blower door test. Let's look at the windows. They are also highly efficient. The triple glazed windows have a positive heat balance, which means that more heat from sunlight comes in than goes out. The buildings not only use 10% less energy than other similar new builds, but they also emit 30% less CO2. This has been achieved without compromising on price, quality, and aesthetics. The resource roads may be a small local project, but the principles can easily be scaled up to larger projects in a global context, highlighting how sustainable solutions can fulfill ambitious climate targets.
So what we really hope is that many more will join forces with us in really enabling the built environment to become more sustainable itself.
The resource rows provide us with a peek into how the sustainable buildings of the future will look. We are constantly learning how we can work in a more focused way with sustainability and try new methods of working. Hopefully Denmark can be an inspiration to other countries in this area. We will leave you here to enjoy the view of the resource rows from above. Thank you for watching and goodbye.
Thank you, everybody. I hope you had a chance to either see the little video yourself or you could see it here on the screen. There was a little bit of lag, but that's how technique is. You know, we know. There.
Yes, I run for my mobile phone and also from the screen. It's fine.
Good, great. So I don't hope that you got too dizzy because you can swirl around and look from one side to the other. This was just a little example, and of course this is Denmark, and our challenge is that we need to heat our buildings and we need to keep the heat inside the buildings. In Indonesia, it's the other side, the opposite way. You have a hot climate, wet climate, so you need to keep the heat outside of the buildings. But I think a lot of the principles here can still be applied. A lot of insulation, very tight buildings, ventilation with heat recovery or thermal recovery. But I want to ask Dieter now, why did you decide to go into a project like this? You're going beyond the Danish building codes.
Yeah, so it was a joint collaboration with our developer, Nordic Real Estate Partners, in really wanting to have an impact in the project in itself, but also really having an impact in the sense of showing by doing that we actually could do a lot more than what the industry thought at the time when we talked about upcycling materials. So really showing that it's not just a theoretical concept, it's actually something that we can go and do and apply in real life and create buildings with a significantly lower carbon footprint, but also buildings that is actually livable and enjoyable for the people who's going to live there afterwards, as well as for the surroundings.
So this was what we were showing in the video, that there were like 5 areas. It's not only energy, it's not only upcycling of materials, it's also the social aspects and the other aspects, building or materials and water you also focusing on. But what about the cost? The cost of this project, is that much higher than in a normal project?
So no, not if we count per square meters in terms of materials. We're actually able to deliver within sort of competitive benchmarks. Of course, what one needs to be mindful of is the first time you do something when it's innovation, there's an added cost to innovation, and we kind of kept that separately. And we also had public funding from the government, from the EU support, to have this sort of innovation process. But then as soon as we know, okay, it's actually feasible to take, because the bricks is one thing, but we also in that project had the wood, and in other projects we recycle windows, plastics, textiles, concrete, whatnot, all these different things. And whenever we do it, we start by having an innovation project, and that has a separate economy. But then when we then it becomes a commercial product, and that commercial product can deliver on benchmark prices.
Could I ask you not speaking to mute the microphone? Great. That's
okay. Can I add something?
Please.
Yes. Do you think that it's going to be commercially viable? This is a new project. It's stimulated by the government. The innovation is very important here, and it will inspired the business to jump into this, especially in terms of recycling and upcycling material. This is a very good. Do you think that it is going to be to add the cost, or is it to lower the cost in terms of financial, of course?
Yeah, I think we can definitely see, and when we look at some of the materials, there's actually an opportunity for upcycling to deliver at a lower cost than the traditional products. In other materials, it will be higher, but there's definitely an opportunity. And I think overall, once we're stepping out of the innovation phase and really reaching scale and the sort of the economic benefits of scale and industrialized production, then we can really deliver at no more cost than benchmark and on some of the materials at a lower price. We can also see that, you know, with after everything being in lockdown from the COVID pandemic and materials being in a very short supply due to the issues in the Suez Channel and all these different things, it's become even more of an economic opportunity to use recycled materials, because the materials are here, they're available, and essentially all it takes is skilled labor locally.
Yeah.
And how did you experience the reactions in the building industry, that the entrepreneurs and constructors that you were working together with? Were they like, this is a high risk because it's unknown, or how did you feel the?
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that we've been working a lot with, also based on the experience we had in the resource world. So that developer, but also that entrepreneur, we had already worked with on another project, Upcycle Studios. So it was the same entrepreneur that had already tried working with our sort of special ideas. So they knew us, and they knew that it was actually feasible and viable. So that was really a great experience working on resource rows, that from when we started Upcycle Studios to starting the next project, a lot of learning had been made in the process, and also a lot of trust had been built, and really an understanding that, you know, it's not just an innovative idea. There's actually an opportunity to create a really beautiful and high functioning building. So that was much better in that process.
So you're saying maybe also that the constructors saw this as an opportunity to learn something from their side, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there's originally there was a bit of sort of maybe uncertainty, but now also I see from their perspective, it's something that they can see as a competitive advantage, that they have a sort of first mover advantage in terms of knowing how to build with circular materials. Absolutely.
I have another question, and it intrigues me. How would you get all the materials, because you are using the used material, and they are quite limited unless you are breaking down some city or something like that. How do you model that? How do you get the sources from?
Yeah, so we have primarily sort of three different sourcings essentially. So what we see is it's a lot of developers actually hire us as consultants if they take over and a plot where there are buildings. They hire us to go in and assess the materials that are there, to figure out, okay, what's actually the value of the materials, what can we keep, what can we reuse, what should be recycled, and then how to do it, and what's the business case for it. So, you know, compared to them buying new materials, if they can reuse or recycle that, how will that business case end? So of course we then sometimes they will reuse or recycle it themselves. Other times we will actually take the materials from them and store them until we need them. We also have really great partnership with the demolishers in Denmark. They're definitely starting to see that this is a great business opportunity for them, because of course they're the ones, you know, better than anyone, they're the ones that knows the material, how to take them down. They have the infrastructure of of handling materials, keeping the materials, etc. And then the last part being which we see a great opportunity. I mentioned that we also now produce materials based on plastics and textiles. That's because we see that there are so large waste streams elsewhere in society that we can actually reutilize in the built environment, because the built environment has such a large scale. So we can cover the cost of innovation quite quickly because there's such a big opportunity. And
Yes.
take materials from elsewhere that would otherwise be landfilled or incinerated. We can
Yeah,
actually
that's the next step of the innovation. I think that's it, using other materials for building materials. How do you make of it? How do you plan to do that?
So we already do it with the plastic. We create facade elements. We create chairs and tables. And with the textiles, we create acoustic solutions mainly. So where if it's both sort of as an off-the-shelf product where you can essentially get the acoustic capabilities, and there it, because textiles there's an abundance of textile waste, so there we can actually see that we can deliver without compromise on price. We can essentially deliver at same or lower cost in terms of the product there on the shelf products. But we can also see that if you're a production company and you want to go in a more sustainable direction, it's quite interesting or fun, or the storytelling of them all of a sudden, in their meeting rooms having the acoustics made of their own waste rather than being. There's a lot of opportunity there that we see to really create something.
But what happened then? What happened then with the new material development?
Sorry?
What happened with the new material development? This is the recycle and upcycle. But what about the new materials, which is sustainable, of course?
We're working a lot on wood buildings, which I know is not new to Indonesia, of course, but to Denmark, this is quite new to do high constructions in wood. And we're still very dependent on concrete construction, but I think there is a trend of moving away, looking at are there other possibilities than concrete, but also as Dieter say, including upcycled materials. What I understand is that you're looking very much on not necessarily waste that you go on landfill to get, but the excess materials from productions that would otherwise have gone either to landfill or incineration. And
Thank you.
As you were asking, well, one day if this is going to get bigger, will there then be a very high demand on this, and then maybe prices will go up on recycled materials?
It's a paradox, as a matter of fact. It's recycled is from waste, right? So you upcycle it and then get the new value of that material. But as people are going to ask now,
Pak John, boleh tanya?
Ya, silakan.
Hi. I was just wondering, do you, when you actually do the upcycling, do you actually secure your new project first and then try to do the resourcing backwards, or is it already a third party that is doing the upcycling that you can specify the quality of the product?
We do sometimes also include other third-party producers as materials, but the upcycling that we've seen here and what we mainly do is that we have a company that is a producer of materials. So we produce it ourselves, and our preferred method is the first time we do a new innovation, a new material, we always secure the project first, because our experience is if we want to create an innovation, if we have a specific demand on the other side, so we know exactly what are the requirements, both from a functionality perspective, from an aesthetic perspective, and from a price perspective, it's much easier for us to go backwards and then create the innovation so that it fits market demand rather than it being, we can go a million different directions. Then we actually prefer having sort of very specific requirements from the developers already. But then, of course, once we've done it the first time in a project, then as we do other projects, then we already have the material innovation, and then can sell it as part of the projects going forward. And then we have, the value chain set up so that we may have a lot of the material stored at whoever is helping us produce the material.
One important point is, I think, to ensure the lifetime, lifetime of the material, and the strength and the values, that they are either the same as the other material you would have used, or at least so that they are usable in the project. So how do you go about this, about securing the lifetime of the material and the strength?
Yeah. So it's a really good question. It's of course super important. We wouldn't want to make buildings that last a shorter lifespan than normal buildings at all. But what we see is that we test, and the materials where we can see there's actually the opportunity for them to have a very long life, which is the majority of materials. Then we can use them in the built environment, and then to make sure that we're not making the same mistakes as maybe have been done previously. We're also mindful of, we want to use materials in a way that enables design for disassembly in the future. So we don't want to do anything with materials that would then mean that someone else couldn't come and recycle them afterwards, which should hopefully be the case sometime in the future.
There is a question in Indonesian. If somebody could read it to us in the chat.
Silakan Bapak Ibu sekalian, kalau yang mau bertanya dalam bahasa Indonesia silahkan menulis, atau mungkin ya nanti bisa diterjemahkan. Yes, and actually while we are waiting for a participant question, I have two questions. First is regarding funding. You mentioned that you use public funding. Is it the funding will be used for the whole idea of the net zero building, or just regarding the upcycle system? And secondly, the second question, I don't know whether directed to Dieter or to Hendrik, technical things. So I will ask regarding, you mentioned about the efficiency of heat pumps, that you use heat and cooling in one system, and you mentioned that you are using heat exchanger, so with heat recovery. How about this technology during the pandemic during the pandemic situation like this? It's because like you use again the exhaust air to heat it up the.
So maybe I can take the technical part of that. It's with a heat exchanger, so the air streams don't get in contact with each other.
All right.
And all the apartments are supplied with their own supply. So it's a common supply to each apartment, but it doesn't get mixed with the other apartments.
So
the
like
exhaust air goes directly out through the heat exchanger.
So
but as it was said,
like a rotary wheel or plate-to-plate heat exchanger.
Sorry?
You are using plate-to-plate heat exchanger, or like a rotary wheel?
Yeah.
All right.
So no contamination of the air.
All right.
And as I said, it's very high. It's 85%, because that is the requirement in the building regulation.
Mohon di-mute,
and also the efficiency of the heat pumps were very high, about 4.2. So that's even higher than the requirements in the building regulation.
Right.
And your first question, sorry, I think
regarding the public financing, it's what kind of financing you got, and the financing is used for the whole ideas for net zero building, or just the upcycle system?
So in this case, because luckily we have quite a few public funding schemes that helps drive green innovation in Denmark, and in this case it was used for the upcycling of materials. But in the initial test phase, so when we got to, okay, now we actually need to produce and deliver materials, then it was on standard commercial terms. It's the entrepreneur and thus the developer buying the materials, and they are a private, very successful development company that that has to drive investment interest for their global shareholders and do that quite successfully.
There is a question about that some of the materials were located not far from the site. Yeah, so as I said, we are in Copenhagen. The building site is a little bit out of Copenhagen, like for our conditions, that would be like 5 kilometers. And the building site where some of the materials were taken from, I think that the total distance would be like 10 kilometers or something. But that is a coincidence in this case, because otherwise you could have a developing project which would be like outside of the city or in another place. But I think you would always think about what is the traveling distance. Like, for instance, if you say, well, there is this certain material that we're looking for, but it's in say, Germany, that would be a long transport. Would you then engage in that? Or?
We always try to have materials coming from as short a distance as possible. In every case, we look at it from a life cycle perspective and a life cycle analysis. So would it make sense to use the material, or would we end up using too much emissions on transporting the materials, and then we shouldn't do it? So it depends on the particular situation.
So you're saying that you're making an analysis for each material, yeah,
and potential site, yeah.
And I think it's like interesting also with the roles that the traditional role of an architect, you make the design and then you leave it to the engineers. They will make sure the technical installations and the structure and everything is okay. And then it goes to the installers and the entrepreneurs. But here you are also sort of material harvesters. You go out, so you have to go the other way around and say, this material, how can we assemble them? How can we install them and so on? Does that put more challenge on your role as an architect?
Absolutely, because I think a key thing that it does is that we have to take quite a lot more risk, right? Because we're the ones delivering materials, so we have a responsibility for those materials and the durability and the functionality, etc. So we definitely do that, but we see that if we really want to change things by designing for circularity, we need to be a much larger part of the value chain in every instance. So sometimes we'll come into a project, we'll only be architects in a more traditional sense. Sometimes we'll do everything. Sometimes we'll come into a project and essentially only deliver materials and another architect has been doing the project. And sometimes we're more, especially if we're in other countries in Europe, and sort of like there will be an advisor for the developer on how they talk to their local partners on how to ensure that you can upcycle materials and what to do and what not to do, because we do also know that sometimes, although there are a lot of ways in which upcycling makes sense, but of course there are also sometimes when it doesn't make sense, and then time should be spent elsewhere.
One question here in the end. I think we're getting close to, or we have lots of space for more questions, and please come. I do apologize, all the technique in this building now thinks that it's too sunny, so and the light has gone out because we're not so active. But I wanted to ask you, was it easy to rent out the houses or the apartments, the flats, and sell the houses, or were people interested from the beginning?
No, yeah, that's a great question, because it was very, very easy to rent out the apartments, which is of course also goes to the business model. When we see the surrounding buildings out there, there's actually they're not rented at full capacity, the other buildings, even though they had been there before ours. But ours was very quickly completely rented out. So there is definitely that competitive advantage from the developer's perspective that we do see a growing trend towards sustainability. Of course, sustainability without compromising on price, quality, and aesthetics. But when we can deliver a project like this where it's livable and it's affordable, then there's really a high interest and high demand. So it was definitely.
And generally people are quite proud of their building and they like to show it to
their
friends.
It's very fun to see sort of more and more it's happening and people have all these stories and show people around, and it's very nice to see.
There is a question about what the electricity tariff is, and for people living in apartments, it would be about 40 cents per kilowatt hours. For industrials, it's half. It's 20 US cents per kilowatt hours. There's also a question about the PV solar cells. Was there solar cells involved in this project?
No, not in this project.
No.
We do it in other projects, and it's something that we see due to European regulation is something that's being used a lot in Denmark going forward.
Yeah, but we have a little bit of a situation in Denmark with the PV because of the tariffs. You are only allowed to even it out per hour. Earlier, it would be over 1 year. So if you were producing more electricity than you would use, it could be going back to the grid. But now it has to be within 1 hour. So there will be times when you're not using the electricity in the house or the apartment, and you can't then sell it to the grid. So at the moment, it's not a big advantage to use PVs in Denmark. Although, and you say, but do they have sunshine in Denmark? We do actually have a lot of sunshine hours, because in the summer we have very long days. In the winter, however, we have no light almost. But so we're not really there with the PVs at the moment yet. So there's a question: which material less cost and benefit between reused bricks or new bricks? I think maybe the question is, what is the cost difference between the recycled, upcycled brick element and new bricks?
Yeah, so when using new bricks, there's a very big difference in the market in terms of high quality bricks and low quality bricks. And our product being a high quality brick, because that when we go back not too many years, it was essentially almost all materials was at a better quality than the use of materials that we have today. So it is at a good quality, and it costs somewhere in the middle of between the low and the high cost brick.
So it's not more expensive than a high quality brick. Right.
But it is, if you go to the sort of the end of the market and the most low quality, then you would be able to get something.
So then there's a question about what's the impact of the project on energy efficiency and conservation. And we started up talking about nearly zero energy buildings. And the thing is that the building is of course built according to the Danish energy, the building code, which have a very low energy requirement or low energy consumption. But it's also built to the next standard. We have a step code saying that this is the standard today, but you can go for a voluntary level. And this project is going for the voluntary level, so it's like 10% less energy than similar buildings. But due to all the upcycling of the materials, it's the CO2 emission, the carbon footprint is a lot lower than normal buildings. And I don't know, I can't remember the figure, but I think
we can say for sure, because it's always sort of, but the conservative is 29% lower emissions.
So about
total,
about 30% less CO2 emissions than a similar project due to the upcycling of the materials. So if if anybody else have some good questions or remarks, you're very welcome. Well, how do you see these things happening in Indonesia? If I can ask some of you people, maybe Pak Totok or some other ones.
I can give you an answer a little bit, although I'm not an engineer, but I've been involved in a kind of contest for young people, student, young architect, to innovate on building materials.
Great. So there is an interest. Maybe Ibu Veni, if you have very great interest in this area, I know. What do you think?
Yes,
yes, I'm very interested in how you say, you know, the upcycle is actually lower in terms of cost than the new bricks, and you get the same kind of high quality. So that's a very interesting one. I mean, I would have assumed in the beginning that it will cost definitely higher, maybe twice. I mean, but actually it's not. Maybe that's something that we really need to explore, and you know, opportunity is huge here in Indonesia, I guess.
Do you think there would be an interest? Because I could imagine that people would like new buildings, shiny buildings, smart buildings. This is like, you know, you're taking a step back and saying we're actually using something that has been used already. Would that be an interest?
No, that's another thing. I guess I probably personally am not used to the idea of living in a, you know, in a upcycled material house. And I think we really need to have a change of mindset that upcycled materials are actually not waste. I mean, they are essentially the same, you know, and probably even better sometimes than what you get in the market. So, yeah, I guess, you know, it opens up, I mean, it opens up a lot of questions and opportunities also for developers here in Indonesia.
May I say something about this? I thought I think there is a growing interest among young people to use material or to recycle for the new building. I think we need, perhaps I would like to propose someday to hold a seminar on this between the Danish Energy Embassy and us, for example, to attract young architects and young innovators in how to use the used material to be recycled or the upcycled with the technology that you might be able to disseminate or to share with us. Is that a good idea for you?
Yes, we would be very happy to do this. We have a lot of other interesting projects also that could be very interesting to discuss with you.
Pak John and Anne, yes, I have another idea because we know, I think, and already know that now the president is targeting 1 million houses for low income housing for the people, and actually there is a traditionally people make a very low quality bricks, and if we can improve the low quality brick with let's say mixed with the recycle materials, and then it become circular economy for the low people. And as you know that many Indonesian traditional people can make a brick, we call it batako, and now it's disappeared from the market because there are a lot of fabricated bricks in Indonesia. So if we can encourage the people using the cooperation program and so on, and yeah, I think it's a good challenge to do that. Of course, we have to make a standard, we make a with high quality to maintain the quality for the product.
Very, very interesting. Yes, I think that's interesting to look at. I think we will end our trip here now, and I will thank you all for your participation. You will now have to go to another country also in
Yes, it's
in
close
Europe.
to you.
Yes. So it's just on the other side of the water.
Yes.
So we will leave you for now, and it has been a great pleasure for us to be here.
I just curious behind Twitter. Actually, I just show the curtain wall. It's automatically going down. Is it normal in there in Denmark?
Yeah, it's regulated according to the solar impact, but our building has its own soul. So
this is in your office. All right. This is in your office, and
yeah, it's a meeting room in the Danish Energy Agency. Yes, we want at the out to look at the sea and the Little Mermaid and all this, but we couldn't make it possible.
I think we have to thank Anne and her colleague for this illuminating and inspiring show of determination in terms of sustainability in Denmark. I think we all have to learn from you, and in realizing that we cannot do without sustainability principle. And as I said just now, perhaps we can propose to you, the Danish Energy Agency, to get a meeting or a workshop or seminar, whatever you like, in this building materials revolution, I would say. Thank you very much, Anne and your colleague. I forgot the name. Okay, and hopefully we can see personally sometime after the pandemic.
Yes, we hope that also. So thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, and have a nice day.
Thank you, Anne.
Right.
Thank you, Anne. Thank you,
Tita and Hendrik. Thank you.
Thank you, Hendrik.
Bye.
Bye.
Ya, Bapak Ibu sekalian, kita sudah berkunjung ke Denmark. Tuh, ini kita masih berada di Eropa ini.
Iya, Pak John. Pak Toto, Pak John udah landing.
kita nyebrang pakai apa ferry
ya.
Dari Denmark ke Swedia. Sudah tinggal nyebrang laut aja sedikit. Paling 1 jam atau setengah jam, 1,5 jam.
Pak Firman udah
saya ikut. Oke.
Okay, good morning.
Good morning, Pak John, Paul Westin, Sudasini Yuga.
Yeah. See you again here. Thank you very much for allowing your time to fit.
Yeah. I was not in the original planning for saying a few words, but I would like to say a few words after Firman actually before we start the session, and then we will hand over to the Smart City Sweden office.
Right. Okay.
Please go ahead.
Okay. Pak Firman, udah siap?
Kita mulai di 2.15 ya, Pak?
It's still 10 minutes before we start.
Masih.
Yeah.
Okay, Paul, you want to say something?
I think it's still 10 minutes before the session starts, or I think.
Ya, kayaknya.
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
Apa yang lainnya? But then I saw, is that Sophia from Smart City Sweden that just showed the video?
Hello, I am another Sophia. We are two. I have been in contact with the companies, the small companies you will meet today. So I am listening in, and so you will meet the other Sophia soon.
Okay.
Karin is here, though, that will show the virtual tour in Gothenburg.
So you are from Johannesburg Science Park, yeah, Sophia?
Yes.
Sophia Gansland.
Yes, so see you in some minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that everyone that will present today will get will become the co-host so that he can share their own screen. Yeah, probably Sophia, and then Lydia is already here. Is Lydia not yet? I think.
No, I don't see. Maybe they will come exactly at the 1:15.
Yeah, it's still 8 minutes.
I'm sorry, but I think so.
No worries.
Of course, Karin, you need to share the let her be the co-host, and Lydia.
Yeah, just let me know if there is anyone from our delegation, from Sweden delegation, that need to become the co-host, so that the committee could make him as or her to become the co-host.
Yes, we'll try to do that.
Ada beberapa orang Pak nanti yang akan presentasi Pak, yang akan sharing video.
160 ya.
Oh,
I must say it was I listened 2 minutes from your meeting with Denmark. It was a very nice atmosphere, I must say. So, and
yes, exactly.
Nice to meeting your organization.
Thank you.
In this way.
Thank you, Sophia.
Very.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We have 160 visitors here. 161.
Yeah.
Wow, interesting.
Right.
Good.
Pak Firman mungkin bisa umum dulu apa kira-kira nanti rundown-nya kayak apa sambil nunggu ya.
Ya, sebentar Pak. Oke. Mungkin saya sambut dulu ya dalam bahasa Indonesia sebelum kita mulai dalam bahasa Inggris. Jadi ya, perkenalkan, nama saya Firman. Saya dari Business Sweden. Jadi Business Sweden ini adalah satu institusi di bawah pemerintah Swedia dan di bawah sektor swastanya Swedia yang bantu perusahaan-perusahaan Swedia untuk bisa ikut berkembang dan membantu perkembangan di Indonesia. Dan saat ini ada 11 perusahaan yang tergabung dalam Business Accelerator Program Indonesia. Jadi kesemuanya itu adalah perusahaan di bidang energi, Pak Toto dan Pak John. Jadi 11-11-nya ini perusahaannya di bidang energi dan sekarang semua berpartisipasi dalam IEECCE 2021 ini. Jadi secara paralel saat ini ada 3 perusahaan Pak yang lagi presentasi di ruang virtual 1 sampai dengan 3. Jadi makanya kita agak sedikit hektik saat ini. Dan hari ini kita akan mengunjungi beberapa lokasi di Swedia. Yang pertama nanti perjalanannya akan dipandu oleh dari Smart City Sweden. Kita akan berkunjung ke Johannesburg Science Park. Jadi salah satu science park di Swedia yang di Gothenburg. Kita akan lihat bagaimana pemanfaatan energi efisiensi sampai dengan pemanfaatan solar, pemanfaatan sebagai tempat untuk bercocok tanam. Lalu setelah itu juga kita akan berkesempatan untuk mengunjungi sustainable transport di daerah Swedia, di Gothenburg juga. Kita sebutnya sebagai Green City Zones. Lalu juga nanti ada 2 perusahaan yang akan presentasi, yaitu Battery Loop. Jadi mereka perusahaan baterai. Dan yang lalu selanjutnya ada nanti presentasi sharing juga berkunjung kita ke Scania. Scania di kita akan lihat bagaimana perkembangan bis elektrik di sana, dan juga selain elektrik mereka juga akan menawarkan bis lain yang juga tidak kalah ramah lingkungannya. Lalu juga nanti kita akan berkunjung ke Innovation Corner, melihat bagaimana electric road system yang merupakan masa depan lah dari transportasi kita di perkotaan. Jadi cukup padat Pak untuk jadwalnya. Ada beberapa lokasi yang akan dikunjungi. Tapi ya mudah-mudahan semua bisa berjalan lancar. Dan saya lihat sekarang sudah ada Sofia, ada 2 Sofia. We have 2 Sofia now. So probably that teman-teman dari Damia atau dari panitia bisa tolong dibantu untuk mereka menjadi co-host. Lalu juga ada Lydia juga minta tolong untuk dibuat menjadi co-host. Beliau dari Smart City Sweden, Lydia Parteni. Lalu belum ada. Saya cek dulu Pak supaya nanti tidak Krister. Lalu Ken. Ya, lalu Ken Samuelson dari Semester AB minta tolong untuk dibuat jadi co-host. Ken Samuelson. Lalu Rasmus. Rasmus Bergstorm. Ups, putus ya. Lalu Rasmus Bergstorm. Ada Rasmus.
Good morning.
Buat jadi co-host. Morning, Rasmus.
Morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon in Jakarta.
Good afternoon. Morning in Sweden. Morning.
Yes.
And let me check siapa lagi ya yang belum.
Good morning from Ken Samuelsson too. Here.
Good morning.
Belum. Sebentar.
I'm muted myself, Firman, but I'm with you.
Okay, Lydia. So yeah, just want to make sure that everyone is
Yes, I understand you're going through the program. Good morning to Sweden and good afternoon to all of you in Indonesia. We're looking forward to this.
Good morning to you, Sofia.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning. It's a new face.
And let me check with that. I think that he's not turning up. And then who else? Yeah. Thaddeus.
Firman.
Yes.
Sudah lewat waktunya. Bisa dimulai aja.
Oke, satu lagi Pak, mungkin Krister minta tolong panitia untuk bisa dijadikan co-host. Yeah. Okay, let's open this. Yeah, good afternoon, my colleague in Indonesia, and good morning, everyone in Sweden that joined from Sweden. Yeah, it's a pleasure to become the host for today. And what is it today? We would like to visit to the virtual to Sweden and to see two development, which is in the energy efficiency in building and also in transportation. So yeah, let me introduce myself. My name is Firman from Business Sweden, the Swedish Trade and Invest Council, and yeah, we will have our guide tour for today from Sweden, from Smart City Sweden. And yeah, I would like to hand this over to Lydia. But then before that, I would like to have to invite Paul Westin from Swedish Energy Agency to give some words. Please, Paul.
Thank you, Firman. So I'm very happy that we can do this today. Thank you, Pajon, my dear friend from Musquet, for having organized this opportunity for Sweden to showcase energy efficiency and smart transportation. The Swedish Energy Agency is the government authority responsible for energy implementation in Sweden, but we also work internationally, and we have the MOU with the government of Indonesia on energy cooperation, so this is part of this. The Swedish Energy Agency is also the coordinating authority for the Smart City Sweden platform. So I'm very happy that we can have this virtual tour today, and hopefully very soon you will be able also to visit Sweden physically. And I'm surely looking forward to coming back to Indonesia soon as well. So hopefully when we have our next delegation, it will not be virtual, but it will be in real. So because I really want to meet all my friends in Indonesia again. So the IEECCE conference is always something that we try to join, but also the Indo-EBTKE Connects. So hopefully the next time we can join that. But now I would like to hand over to my colleagues from Smart City Sweden, and also thank Firman and Lydia and Sophia for all the hard work in setting up today's program. I'm looking forward very much to hear what is going to pass. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
Firman, you're muted, but I can see that I'm not. Thank you very much. Thank you, Paul, for the really nice introduction. And well, ladies and gentlemen, Excellencies, Ambassador, dear organizers, greeting to all participants of the forum. My name is Lydia Porthini, and I'm the Visit and Program Manager at Smart City Sweden. Welcome to the virtual visit program, showcasing the latest development, as Paul mentioned, in transportation, energy efficiency, and mobility from Sweden. I would like to direct a thank you very much to Muscat to become host of this IEECCE and arranging the virtual visit the Smart City Sweden is a proud co-organizer of. And we highly appreciate also, as mentioned, the work that has been done prior to this event. Sweden has much to offer from experience within sustainability, and I'm very pleased to be here today to share information about Smart City Sweden. Also, as mentioned, Smart City Sweden is a state-funded initiative, a state assignment for smart and sustainable city solutions from Sweden. We welcome delegations from all over the world who are interested in investing in Swedish solutions. On our website, smartcitysweden.com, we showcase best practice within smart and sustainable city solutions from Sweden, as well as companies who are ready to export the solution. Smart City Sweden is financed by the government, coordinated by the Swedish Energy Agency, and managed by IVL, Swedish Environmental Research Institute. Smart City Sweden demonstrates solutions within 5 focus areas. Through the platform, Smart City Sweden coordinates incoming visits, one on or several of the 5 focus areas that I will now mention: energy, climate and environment, mobility, digitalization, urban planning, and social sustainability from all around Sweden. Smart City Sweden has over 700 companies in our network, ready to take the solutions to international markets. We have over 120 best practices work as inspiration that can be visited. We have 6 offices all over Sweden that welcome delegations physically and of course as well digitally. And with us, we also have 8 government agencies that support with their expertise. Smart City Sweden is with you all the way. We can help to match you with experts and companies in your area of interest. And after the visit, we will help you on to the next step, whether it is a new meeting, a follow-up to know more and learn more about your needs, or a pre-study in your local context. So please visit our website, smartcitysweden.com. Thank you very much, and we would like to welcome you to a visit. And now, Please let me hand over and introduce you to the first speaker of today. That would be Ms. Sophia McConnell, who's our head of Smart City Sweden West. Please, Sophia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Lydia. Someone had a microphone on. So, very welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great honor to today present for Indonesia. Although it is very far from Sweden, it is a country that is loved by many Swedes, but it's also more and more important for industry relations between our countries. So now I will share my screen. Yes, so Sweden and also West Sweden and the city of Gothenburg has come a long way in reaching the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. And today I will show you how we have done to reach these goals, and especially within the areas of transport and mobility, as well as energy solutions. But first of all, let's have a look in the rear view mirror, because as you can see here, our city wasn't so nice a couple of years ago. And actually in 1987, we had a visit to our city from the Swedish Minister of Environment. And she said it's like coming to the courtyard of hell, because we had a very high degree of pollution, both in the air and in the water. And it was also unattractive to live in parts of the city. And we had had large environmental problems for many years. We had emissions, especially from the industry, from the port, from refineries. We have a couple around the city, but also from the traffic in the city. But now, if you have a look at the mountain you see here in the back, this is the same mountain, so it's the same view of the city today. And as you can see, we have had a great change of the city. And compared with the 80s, actually more people work here today, although we had the crisis of the shipyard industry. But now it's very attractive, both for working, living, and also for visiting in the weekends to go to a restaurant. And an important factor has been to establish a science park for communications and especially transport. But we have also done many things within the areas of, for example, how we cool and heat our buildings emission-free. But also waste to energy solutions, and of course city planning and transport and mobility solutions. And we have also been awarded to be the most sustainable destination several years in a row. If we look at some figures, we can see that now, today, 96% of fuel in public transport is renewable. We also have 100% of renewable fuel in our waste transport in the city. And this has been 100% since 2015. We recycle 99% of the waste in the city, and this also includes waste to energy solutions. So this means that only 1% would go to landfill from our waste. And last but not the least, 12 billion Swedish crowns has been invested since 2013 through green bonds. So green bonds has been very important for our city to finance our green solutions. But we still have a long way to go. We have a lot of improvements needed to be done. And nowadays we look a lot at test beds as one strategy for finding new solutions from our city. So here you have a number of test beds, and many of them are in the area of transport, but as well within energy. So you can read more about this on our website. But this was just a short introduction to our city. And now we'll look at some more details, and we will start with looking at some exciting solutions in buildings. So I leave the word to you, Lydia. You're muted.
Yes, hello. I think this is my part, right? Or should we go back to Lydia first? I see that Lydia is speaking, but she muted.
Sorry. Am I still? Now I should not be muted. Thank you very much. I will be very quick. Thank you, Sophia. Thank you for the very interesting presentation about the Region West, the most sustainable destination to visit. Please bear that in mind. And I will hand over to you, Karin Weidegård, Communications Officer from Johanneberg Science Park, to take us around to this virtual study tour on innovative and energy efficient buildings. The floor is yours. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's see if I can share my screen. Hello, everyone, and warmly welcome to Gothenburg and Johanneberg Science Park virtually. I hope you can all see my screen with a nice overview. I take it as yes. Great. So Johanneberg Science Park is one of 3 science parks in Gothenburg. Sophia was mentioning another one before. And we are a company founded by Chalmers University of Technology and the city of Gothenburg. And we also have around 20 companies and organizations in our partner network and board. So the Science Park is a physical place situated, as you can see here, on one end of the Chalmers, the university campus, which stretches back here quite for some blocks. And our mission from when we started 10 years ago was to develop this area down here with new buildings and to attract different actors in the fields of urban development, energy, and materials technology. But Johanneberg Science Park is not only a physical meeting place, it is also an intellectual meeting place or hub, bringing together academia, businesses, and society to initiate and implement co-creative projects leading to innovations for a more sustainable society. So what you can experience in this virtual tour are some of the buildings in our vicinity. I will give you a short tour of them here today, but please do continue to explore the tour more closely after we finish this meeting. I think that you have been provided or will be provided with a link. You can find this tour online on Smart City Sweden website or Green Gothenburg. And of course, if you have access to VR glasses, the experience will be even better. So what these buildings that you can see have in common, except from being built and owned by real estate companies that are our partners, is that they have been preceded by high ambitions that have taken form in collaborational innovation projects where many different partners have contributed to a very high innovation level. And we will start here at the HSB Living Lab. There you see that. This is the home of about 30 students and guest researchers. But at the same time, it is an arena for testing ideas of future sustainable housing in a real-life environment. So about 100 projects have so far used this house as a test bed. And here, when you get the full circle of the view, you can see, for example, some beehives that have been digitalized. Let's come all the way around. And here you see the building. It has been built in modules, meaning that the parts and sections can be changed. For example, you can test different types of materials for the facade.
Our expectation for the project is that we prove that this new technology actually works in the real environment with the users inside, with the real climate outside. This is a living lab. It's not a laboratory in the building, but it's a building that we use. So we want to prove that our technology works. This is what we are expecting from this project.
So I will only play that short part of the video, and you can of course come back later and look more. Also here in the info point, you can see a video of the whole HSB Living Lab project. Now let's go inside the building. So here is on the ground floor is the laundry room used by all the residents. This is a standard feature in Swedish apartment buildings, but traditionally you'll find the laundry room hidden away in some underground basement and not a very inviting place to go. So this was actually one of the ideas that HSB initially wanted to try out in the Living Lab, to make the laundry room more of a central and inviting common space where you could hang out and interact socially while washing. And this is something that now has been implemented in several of their new buildings. So here you can read more about projects that are either related to the laundry situation itself, but also greywater recovery and some vertical farming that I think you will hear more about in a little bit. But for now, let's move quickly up to see one of the apartments. The house has over 2,000 sensors installed, so you can measure practically everything. And I will play. Well, I think you get the idea that by all these sensors, you can measure anything you want in your project to see how energy is used and so on. And the students, they have cubicle rooms that are centered around this common kitchen and a nice balcony, as you see here. We can go into one of the apartments. And here you can read more about some other energy projects that are going on. But for now, I think we will leave HSB Living Lab and continue to the next building. Just let you see this small room. Go back to our overview and let's go here. This is the building called a working lab. So this is an office building with a large co-working space as well as individual offices and flexible and high-tech equipped rooms for different kinds of meetings and learning situations. It also has a makerspace with tools that you can make all kinds of creative things. So I will give you a full tour around. Go in here. So this building has also been built with a high ambition of including innovative solutions by our partners Akademiska Hus. For example, it has a construction of wood, reducing the climate impact with about 20%. And it was built without, as you can see here, without using any weather protection, which is quite a challenge in a rainy and snowy country like Sweden. Once again, we will go inside to have a look in this very nice lobby. So here on the ground floor, you also have a restaurant that also has a sustainability profile. It is focused on reducing food waste. So a couple of the projects that you find here are related to energy. For example, the building uses direct current, so in order to reduce energy losses from the solar panels. And here, down below in the basement, there is an energy storage using a phase-changing material, a kind of salt that enables you to extract and store energy as the material changes back and forth from liquid to solid form. And this is used for the building's cooling system, and the goal is to achieve an energy reduction of 25%. And this, as well as many of the other projects in this building, are part of the EU project IRIS Smart Cities that Gothenburg is a part of, not only to develop smart solutions, but also to replicate and spread them throughout Europe. And with that, I think the time is up. But like I said, please look around more, explore by yourselves. Then you can, for example, also go into this residential building that has been named the most sustainable residential building in Sweden. It has many projects also in it, for example, a mobility service and an energy storing using Second Life bus batteries. So if you are interested in depth of any of these projects, more in depth, then you're welcome to contact me or Sophia McConnell, and we can help you to connect you with the right people. Thank you for listening.
Can I just one question regarding PCM?
Herman, you need to unmute me when the speakers are done. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Karin, for this presentation. Innovations for a Sustainable Society. And as Karin mentioned, please, through the link in Smart City Sweden's homepage, you can explore more and see the virtual tour that has been presented by Karin within energy projects and innovative solutions. Now we will get on to our next speaker, which is Christer Tilk, who is partner at Grow Pipes.
Thank you very much.
The floor is yours, please.
Thank you. Can you all hear me? Can you all see me?
Yes.
Thank you very much. I would like to just say selamat sore to all our friends in Indonesia, and thank you very much for being able for me to present our company. Can you also see that I'm sharing now, or do you just see myself?
We can just see you for the moment.
Okay, I will just hide it up here, just a moment.
It's okay, no worries.
And then I would like to just share. I'd like to start here. now you can probably see it from. Can you see it now?
Yes, perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. My name is Chris de Tilk. I'm the CEO of Grow Pipes. Here's just a very short introduction to our system. We all know the challenges we have ahead. Food security will be one of the greatest challenges to our civilization this century. In 2050, we expect to have a population close to 10 billion people. Unfortunately, over the last 40 years, we have lost 1/3 of all arable land. A quarter of the population is also facing a looming water crisis. Agriculture accounts for approximately 7% of all the global water take. At the same time as food production is estimated to need to increase by double by 2050. Imagine being able to produce a broad range of produce in a controlled environment in a high density that outperforms any other form of farming in terms of yield and nutrition, and that is also herbicide and pesticide free. Also imagine being able to place this strategically to the more closer to the urban cities of Indonesia, so that less transport is needed, and also that the nutritional value in the product stays longer. Our journey started 2016 when we were setting up a system here in Gothenburg, Sweden, not far from the shipyards that you showed pictures on earlier. Unfortunately, none of the solutions that came in those days, most of them were American, they came with high price tags, but we expected also problems with uneven water flow. So we decided together with a team in South Africa to develop our own system. Grow Pipes is a highly scalable vertical farm solution, making it possible to maximize any space or cultivation area, whether it's a small home unit in the outskirts of Jakarta or a large commercial greenhouse system on Java. The vision